So what we are going to do, I believe that you guys already got that challenge or got the project. And may I learn how many of you had a chance to succeed to achieve all the tasks or all the, let's say, criteria of the project?
I did all of them except checkout page.
Okay, so what we are going to do today is the checkout page. So you are on the right spot. So we will be working on that one. That's great. Okay, okay. So today I'm going to present a solution. I'm just saying a solution, not the solution, because of the nature of the program. In the programming, you will be asked to solve a challenge, let's say 8 plus 7. So obviously we all find the answer. So, but the thing in here is, it's about how we found the answer, which approach we follow. So in here, we can just say that I separated that 8 to 3 and 5 and the 7 into 10 and 5. I add the 5s, I add the 3s, then I found the answer. Or in other approaches, no matter which approach we pick. If you got the true answer, you're on the track. So that's a good thing. So in the programming, you will be facing with the challenges, and you are going to be expected to solve that challenge with the given tools. That's what we are going to do today. You are going to watch my solution here, but it doesn't mean that that's the only solution, or I'm not proposing it as the perfect solution or the best solution, but it is one of the solutions. So what I suggest you to do is try to digest whatever I'm trying to share with you today and try to implement it. But on the way, on the go, while you are trying by your own, if something is not aligning with your thoughts, try to experiment it. Okay. The good point about the programming is the worst thing may happen is your code may not work. And that's not the wrong thing to happen, because while we are coding, you are going to experiment lots of stuff. So in our today's approach, what we are going to do is we are going to make the divide and conquer. Yes, we have a checkout page. In this checkout page, we have several components. We are not able to solve all those challenges at the one go or at the one shot. So what we need to do is we need to separate the pieces, okay? So what we have in here, even if you have seen the code, there are several div tags out there. So there are several divisions inside it. So what we are going to do, first of all, we are going to dissect it. We are going to divide the piece by piece. And once you got this, you are going to see that it's going to get easier, because instead of solving the huge problem, you are going to solve smaller chunks of it. And once we divide it, it's smaller and smaller. You are going to see that to solve that problem is going to get even easier. But you just need to follow kind of a repeated process. So that repeated process is going to get smaller enough to one single item to be displayed in the screen. So what we have in here, we have an image and the product info. And in the product info, we are going to deal with several different components, okay? Eventually, once we get there, we are going to bundle them all, paste them all one after each, and it's going to be our final product, okay? So on yesterday, before I start that session, I was going to solve this problem in a way, but I saw that you guys started to learn something about object-oriented programming. So it is about treating a solution by separating its components. And in future, it's not today's goal, you are going to face with something very strong, something very powerful. It's called as MVC. I suggest you guys to go and look at it, what it is. I'm just going to give you a spoiler in here. MVC is going to be a part of your day-to-day life if you are going to be in the full stack track. Even if you are not in the full stack track, even if you are in the front end development only, you are going to be dealing with Vue and sometimes time to time the model part as well. And I'm going to solve this problem as a kind of a small representation of how the MVC can be run. It's not going to be the MVC problem-solving approach, but it's going to be something like it. So what we are going to do today is, while I'm working on that project, let me just put these pieces away. You guys, okay, let me just take the stuff in here. You guys can follow me from this GitHub branch, okay? So if you, not the branch, the GitHub folder, it's already in the main branch. So in here, in this Clarusway full stack folder structure, you will see that checkout application. I have two folders in here. One is 00 before, that is our initial state, which we are now. And we have 01 underscore after. That is the process, what we are going to do step by step, starting from now. So time to time, I'm going to push the code to here, 01 underscore after. If you would like to follow with me, but you lost the track, you have a chance to go and grab the code from there. I can just paste the same code to our chat screen too. Whatever or whichever the way you prefer, you can have it. So what we are going to do today in the beginning, let me just put the pieces side to side and let me begin. Let me start my server. I don't want you guys to pop up there. Okay, here it's better. Okay. I believe this should be happening. Let me just, here we are. So I just want to be sure, first of all, either my server that's started properly or not. Okay, I'm having an issue with this. It's more about the Mac related stuff. It's a kind of housekeeping thing. Okay, here I am. Okay, so I just want to be sure that am I coding the true page, because that there were some questions there were some options I select earlier. So I'm just going to say in here I am. Okay. And when I just save it, it says here I am. So this is the JavaScript code, which, this is the HTML page, which is aligned with this view what I have at the right side. So let me just save it. First of all, I want to do some housekeeping. So what I mean about the housekeeping, our approach in here is to make this checkout application to be alive, to serve our goal. I'm just going to see, okay, that's good. I just opened the Slack channel at the side. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask your questions. I will try to follow the Slack channel at the left side as well. So I'm just going to remove these commanded lines of HTML code because those are not relevant with our solution or with our problem either. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove them. Maybe they are going to be a task to do in some feature, let's say assignments. So I just remove it. That was the first thing what I have done. The second thing is when I just check this code right at the bottom, I just saw that the script tag is here. So this HTML page is asking me to build a JavaScript file to give those functionalities to the page. But that is an approach. It's all about matter of taste. You may like this way, but as a developer, I would like to separate my folder structures according to their tasks. So in here, if I just put my JavaScript code right in the same level, in the future, in the long run, there might be several JavaScript files coming there, and it will be a kind of lengthy piece of code or lengthy piece of puzzle to solve. So what I personally do is I just go and open a new folder in here, and I'm just going to write this folder's name as JS for the JavaScript files. And inside in here, I'm just going to create a new file, which is going to be checkout.js. Okay, so in my HTML page, I'm just going to refer to new folder structure. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to be sure that is my JavaScript file attached well and functional. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a CLG console log as hello world. So let's see if everything is up and running. So I'm just going to open my inspector. And here in the console, I just saw the hello world. So everything is okay. Do you guys have any question up until here? This was all about the housekeeping. It's not yet the JavaScript started. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask your questions. Okay. So let's continue. What I'm going to do now is I did show you that this page is having some small chunks which are repeating. For example, in here, the product or the item, it is having different values inside, but their appearance, their positions, their expected behaviors are repeating 3 times in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this one as one template, and I'm going to use it in my JavaScript file, so I will able to manipulate it for the needs of the question. So what I'm going to do, I just come up to here, and if you are not so sure which div you need to pick, because here you see 1, 2, 3, 3 divs are nested in here. And what I mean is I want to take this image, the product total, and all these details, but you may not be able to find which one it is from here because there are lots of divs in here and there are lots of details in here. So to find the exact piece of code, what I suggest you to do is you can just right click on the page, click the inspect, and click on the small button in here. So it is selected element in the page. So what you can do is you can just hover on the part what you want to select. So if you see in here, when I just select here, okay, it's a very tiny piece, it is just bordering around the area what I would like to take as a template. So I just click the mouse for once, and it is just showing me that it is the product. So what I need is, I need to take this product as my template. I'm going to take, okay, I don't need this guy anymore. Okay, I'm just going to take this entire product. So I just copy that. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, I don't need this one either. I'm just going to create the templates in here, okay? Templates to use, templates to use, okay, why not? Okay, I'm just going to paste the template in here. So this is my very first template. This is the product, as the ID, the class indicates, it's the product template. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove those templates because I'm not going to need them anymore. So where is that? This is the first product. Okay, this is the second product. Just in case, I'm going to hold one product to see either my code is behaving properly fine or not. Another piece in this page was the subtotal tax shipping total area. So it's a kind of the checkout summary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find which div is responsible about it. So I'm going to use now another approach. So I'm going to walk through my mouse on the code And as you see that once I come in here, it just highlights only one row, but not selecting all 4 of them. So that shows me that those are independent div tags. So what I need to do is I can just take them all as one. So I'm going to do that way. I'm going to take these all divs, which are in here, and I just cut it, and I'm going to put them in here. These are going to be used in our solution. Yet they are commanded. Okay, I just save it, and I just save it. We have nothing but only one product in here to display. So actually my code is going to clean up that one after a while, but I'm going to hold it for now to just practice, okay? What I'm going to do now is, as we see in here, this product has several components. If we would like the list, so product has these components. First, it has a title, okay? And it has image, and it has its new price, and it has its old price. And also it has its counter or quantity, let's say. So do you think that this item, this product needs to have any other components, any other features to be listed in here? Do you guys have an idea? What else can be listed under the product title?
Remove, maybe.
Okay, remove. Okay, so I'm going to put an asterisk in here for remove. Okay, what else you can suggest me to put in here? What about that $74.99, which is written under the product total? Do you think that it is a kind of detail what we need to hold inside the product? Or can we calculate it by using already existing values?
I mean, it's already existed, so.
Yeah. What we expect in here, how we are going to get this number, $74.99? Do you guys have an idea how we can get this? For example, when we hit the plus button in here, it's going to increase based on how many quantities are listed in here. So how we are going to calculate this one?
We can add in JavaScript.
Okay. I mean, that's exactly what we are going to do. That's good. But in the page, in the behavior, if you are purchasing something on Amazon, so when you increase the quantity in here, so this product total is increasing. So how that product total is increasing in daily life? So it is kind of multiplying this item price with the quantity. So this features what we have in here. Okay, if we put the remove in here, we can just put in here also reduce, or we can also put in here increase. So remove, reduce, and increase are sort of behaviors. So while we are talking about classes, so those behaviors are like the methods, okay? Or you can also call that functions inside the class is the method. So those are behaviors. And these are the attributes, okay? They are, let's say, properties of this class. So when you are using object-oriented programming, you need to structure your item with its properties and its behaviors, okay? So what I'm going to do now in here, I'm going to create a very basic class. So you can think about the class as a JavaScript object, what you have learned on yesterday. Do you remember there were some students you were putting in the table? So what we are going to do in here is something like that, but I'm going to carry it one another dimension. Okay, I'm not going to use the same approach, so I want you guys to experience another way of solution this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a class. Okay, class is a keyword. What we are going to do in object-oriented programming, classes are the blueprints. Okay, think about the architect draw the blueprint of a home. So when that home blueprint given to some constructor, they can build the same shape of home, let's say 100 times or 200 times. So the thing in here is the class is the blueprint, what we are going to define in here. Any question? Okay, so this product, I'm going to call it as an item, and it's going to have a constructor. Okay, constructor is a kind of class function or class method, which is defaultly defined by JavaScript, but we can also enforce something in here. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm just going to put those features, those properties, what we have decided to put in the product to be defined in here. So what I'm going to do in here is this: title, image, new price, new price, price, old price, and quantity. Here, order is important. Think about that when we are creating a new item, we need to provide the values in this order. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enforce those values to the class features, class properties. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say that this item is, this title is the title. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this 5 times. So here is the image, and here is the image. New price, and the new price, old price, and here's the old price, and quantity, and quantity. Okay, what I have done so far is just defining the skeleton, defining the blueprint of the item. I didn't use it yet. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to create a kind of list or array which holds all those 3 checkout items in here. So what I'm going to do in here is this. I'm just going to say that I will need them in here because I just delayed them. I just need to get them back. Just a second. When I was making housekeeping, I didn't think of this. So I'm just going to undo those changes because I need to get these details. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to create a constant item list. And this list is going to contain these 3 items. Okay, so this is going to be a new item. Okay, it's going to create a new item based on those features what we are going to provide. So first of all, I need to provide the title. The title is vintage backpack. I'm just going to put it in here, vintage backpack. And then the image, I'm going to find where the image is after a while. The next one is the new price. New price is this 25.98. That is 25.98. And the old price is 34.99. And the quantity was given as 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this 2 more times. So it's going to be Louis shoes. And its new price is 45.99. Old price was 54.99. Quantity is 1. The next one is anti-clock. Anti-clock. And the new price is 74.99. And the old price was 94.99, and the quantity is 1. So what I need to know in here, all of the missing details are the images. So I just need to know the image file's name and the extension. Okay, I don't need to know the path because they are all coming from the same path. They are all under the images folder. I can just statically define it. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to take this photo1.png in here. And the next one is photo2.png. That is in here. And the last one is photo3.jpg. Okay. So photo3.jpg. Okay. So I have defined them. That's good. What I have done so far in here is just about building the structure. It is a little bit, let's say, structuring steps, but those are the steps what we are better to do now to make a page dynamic and to make the page responsive for future entries. So whatever we have done in here, consider that these are the things, these are the records what you receive from the database, okay? Or what when user click the checkout button, so you are collecting whatever is in the basket and putting them in an array, okay? So by this way, you are storing, you are ready to proceed them. But the array contains only independent strings or independent numbers in here. To make those independent strings and the numbers to mean something, we need to align them with a common understanding. That common understanding is the common understanding in the application. And we call that common understanding as an item. So what we have done so far is we build a structure and we make the call and we receive the data from either a database call or when the user clicks button, we receive this from the basket, the purchase basket. Now what we are going to do is let's try to put them in action. Either are we on a solid track or not. What I'm going to do now here is I'm just going to select this product panel, okay? And in this product panel, I'm going to put those items in here. And let's see, either I can or not. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to select that product panel. So that's PRD panel as equals to. So in here, I'm going to say that within the document, get, or I'm going to select the query selector. And in here, in the query selector, that one was product panel. I do suggest you guys to do such definitions by copying and pasting from the source code. The reason in here is, as you see that I have been the guilty side several times in several projects. There might be some spelling mistakes because while we are coding, while we are trying to solve, we are sometimes racing by the time. So if you just try to type it yourself, you may not make the spelling mistake, but in the source, there is a spelling mistake. So you may check your code, everything is running, everything is fine, but your application may not be running. So in that case, it's better to take the template as it is given to you. So in here, this is the product panel. What I'm going to do in here is this. Here the joy will start. So what I'm going to do now in here is I'm just going to build a for loop. I know that we can make this without the for loop. We can use for each, or we can use some other tools to run the cycle, run the loop around this array. But I'm going to use that index counter for one feature need. So what I'm going to say in here, the index counter is, okay, let me just write it here, I only, because it's going to get longer in the code. And the name of my array is item list. And every item what I'm taking from the item list is the item. I want you guys to focus on one thing. The item what I have defined in the class is starting with the capital letter, uppercase I. That is a kind of very common approach or a very common behavior what we developers do. When you are defining a class, please write the first letter capital. Okay. For example, in some programming languages like Java, if you make it lowercase, if I'm not wrong, you may not be running that application either. So we have this item has the uppercase, item list, and the item in here are all lowercase. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to append child or append the collections right after this list. Are you guys able to hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, because I got a message that my internet connection is not stable. Okay, let me just save it and let's run the loop to populate the results in this area. So what I'm going to do in here is this. I'm going to say that in the product panel, inner HTML, I'm going to say that in here as, do you remember we had this template? Now I'm taking that template in action, just copy that. And I'm just going to paste it in here. This is not actually a proper way, or it's not the best way, but it is one of the ways. Because our page has been given us as a static page, we can go this way. Even if the contents of that static area should be produced as a dynamic approach, in that case, we need to create the parents, then we need to append the child to that parent, then we need to append the parent to the page. But in our case, we can just use this approach. What I'm going to do now in here is this. I just save it, and let's see what we will have. So when I save this code, I do see only one item, while my loop is definitely running for 3 cycles. But I see only one. Do you have any idea why I face with this problem? While I should see in here 3 items, one after each, I just have only one item. Do you have any idea what might be my mistake? Anyone here? I am not going to mark you pass or fail. Just share with me your thoughts. What might be the issue? Why I do have only one item while I was expecting to see 3 of those items in here. Okay, let me give you a hint. The problem is at here. At this line number 79, I am going to add or remove something in here, and then I'm going to see all of those items to be displayed in here.
I mean, you just have the first product. So in your, yeah, in your HTML.
So let me ask then more fundamental question. You can write me in the class chat as well. When this loop run, how many items were you expected to see after the loop run? How many items were you expected to see in the page? 1, 3, or 4? You can write in the class chat. I'm following there. Okay, Imran, 1. Thank you. Uriah, 2. Okay. So, Emirhan, you told me that you were expecting 1 because there's only one I pasted. Am I right? Am
Yes.
I understanding your yeah, correct? Okay. Okay. So why only one item came? Let me just give you that. Okay, I got that message for one more time. My internet connection is not stable. If I interrupt. So, this is all because assignment means that what the value is, write something, write something. So I'm not, I'm right. What I need to do in here is I just need. Hello, guys. Hello, guys. I'm back. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I started to see that message. If that happens again, I will be back this fast. Okay. So I was explaining that because earlier it has only one equal sign in here. That means that override. So that's an assignment operator. I was assigning the new value over the existing one. But what I need to do is I need to add the new value up before or after it. Okay, actually it's after it. So what I need to do in here is I just need to write in here plus equals to. So when I put in here plus equals to, and when I run this code, see, now this is whatever exists earlier before my code was running in the loop. And the rest 3 are coming from the result of the loop. Okay, so that plus equals to is like an append. Okay, but it's appending in the let's say text level. Okay, in inner HTML level. So are we good about this? Did you understand what is the importance in here?
Yeah, so if you were to use the for loop to add like new products, instead of doing the name of the item, you would just use a variable that changes the item name, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So that was the flow. That was the issue, what we were facing earlier. So we are at a milestone now. We saw the items in the page. what we need to do is we need to manipulate them down. So let's give a break. Let's be back at 8 and let's continue after that. Okay. If you would like to continue the coding with me, I just push the code in the GitHub branch. Sorry, GitHub. Actually, that's the master branch. That's why I don't want to say the branch, but in the GitHub folder, you can receive it there, or you can just check it from the class chat. So we have now completed until a certain threshold, certain milestone. If you guys have any question, please you can ask it freely. Are we all good up until this point? Okay, I think the silence is because you don't have any questions. But feel free to ask me any question in time. I'm just going to continue manipulating the page by starting with removing whatever is inside the HTML tag before I add the values after the existing one. So this antic clause, as you see in here, as already exists in the inner HTML. So the following other items were coming as a pile after it. So what I'm going to do in here is, before I proceed anything, I'm going to say that please remove whatever is inside the HTML of the product panel. So I'm going to say that you should have nothing in it. Okay, and then the rest will be lined up. So when I just save it and try the page, that existing item has been gone. So what I can do now in here is I can just remove this one as well, because I don't need it. Okay, that's great. So we have almost nothing left in our HTML page because those contents are going to be created dynamically now. So what I'm going to do next is, instead of calling the static image in here, I'm going to call the image from the loop. So what I'm going to say in here is, instead of photo1.png, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to put in here a $sign and opening and closing curly braces. And inside here, I'm going to say that take whatever the item is, and from the item, take the image. Okay, so this is the power of using object-oriented programming. We are going to change this template. We had only one template, but that template is going to serve us to present different values in this checkout, let's say, what was that? Product panel. So when I save it and try the page, you will see that the images are going to be changing. Let me just save and try. See, now the images has changed. So what I'm going to do next is changing the title. So what I'm going to do is same as I did in here. I'm going to say that in here, item dot, what was that title? Title. So when I save it, now see, vintage backpack, Livy shoes, anti-clock are all in here. So step by step, I'm going to change all the relevant contents. Then we are going to change the behaviors. Okay, actually not changing behaviors because we don't have any behavior yet, but we are going to add some behaviors to the page. So what I'm going to do in here is, this one was the new price. So what I'm going to do in here is like this, the item dot new price. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to enter in here. This is the item dot old price. This quantity was coming from the quantity. So I'm going to say in here, item dot quantity. So right now, when I save the page, all the item relevant data are going to be populated from the provided item list array. And after a short while, we are going to add some functionalities to the buttons as well. And I save. Now you are, as you see that the prices has been updated based on the entered values. So far, do anybody has any question? Because after the step, we are going to add some functionalities, and there we will have some more logic be involved. I want you guys to have a solid understanding up until here. Are we all good? Do you have any questions? Great. So I'm just going to push this code. Ready. You can just say functionalities. Okay. Let me add it first. Yeah, I will. You can get this code from the GitHub, and I'm going to paste this code in here in our class chat as well. Okay, it's not allowing because of the comment lines. This slide is not a friend of comment lines. Just remove the comment lines in the Slack chat. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now in here is I'm going to present you another approach than the way how you were using the buttons in our earlier class. In our earlier class means the yesterday's class. Well, yesterday's class, as you remember that you had the table row, and when you click on the table row, based on the click location, you were finding who is the relative row parent, and you were removing it. But in here, we have 3 buttons, and I don't want to go back diving or back tracing the code while we can make something at the JavaScript file. So I'm going to present you another approach to use this plus minus buttons in a way which will help us to give some functionality. So what I'm going to do, okay, here's the here's the minus button. So what I'm going to say in here on the button, I'm going to write on click. So it is like add event listener click, okay? But because here we have HTML content, I'm just able to write the on-click behavior on here. Okay, I'm just going to say in here, this is going to be a reduce. And the reduce is going to have an attribute, okay? That attribute is this I, okay? So I will show you why that I is important in here. And I'm going to put this one also for, where's the button? Okay, here's the button for increase. Okay. Oops, I put 1 instead of I. So why that I is important? Because it's a loop. That I is going to start from the 0, and it's going to increase based on the length of the array. So 0, 1, and 2. So in each increment, it's going to point another item in our list. So on yesterday's class, our instructor told that in real life scenarios, the populated results are coming with a unique item. And in that case, you have learned how to use the email address as a unique item. But here I'm going to use its index as its unique behavior or unique item to put some behavioral approach in here. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to save, and I'm going to show you what changed based on this I. So I'm just going to right click and inspect these buttons now. So if you look at this button, so it says reduce 0 because that's this, the first element. If I just scroll down and I hover on the other one, it is reduce 1. So the second item. Likewise, here is going to be reduced 2. So here now, I'm pointing on which item should be reduced. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here is this. Whenever that reduce item is clicked, I want something to take place, but I don't have that function yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a function under all this for loop. Okay, I'm just going to write in here function reduce. But this function is not just a function without an attribute, without an item to have inside the parentheses, but it needs something in here. So what I'm going to write in here is item index, or I can just say index. Okay, so how I'm going to use that index? I'm going to use that index to point out which item I mean when I click on it. So what I'm going to say that I'm going to select this item list, and in here I'm going to use that index in action in here. So let's put an action and let's see what I'm going to say in the console log. Okay, I'm just going to say that in console log. Please show me that item list. I'm just going to save it, and I'm just going to inspect the console. When I click on this, I'm just getting that item very well. It is working as expected. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reduce its value. We can do it in different ways, but I'm going to make it in a way to put that functionality in this class. Okay. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm just going to write in here a function, but that function, because inside a class, it's going to call as a method. Okay. So that method is going to be a reduce method. Okay. So what that reduce is going to say, it's going to say that that quantity, because I'm going to reduce the quantity, minus minus. Very easy. And I'm going to say in here, like reduce, I'm going to write one more while I'm here already, increase. Okay, and the increase is going to say that whatever its value is increased by 1. So let's put it in action. I just save it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to, I didn't use it yet. That's good. I defined it, but I didn't use it yet. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to say that whatever that item is, please reduce it. That's it. Okay, I'm just going to save and let's put in action. I'm going to click now that one of the reduce signs here, and I will see an output in here. I'm just going to expand it a little bit. And let's see what will be the output. I just click it and see quantity is 0. One more, quantity is -1. One more, quantity is -2. But the page is not reflecting it yet. The page is not reflecting it yet because I didn't ask this reduce to regenerate the content of the page. What I requested this reduce function to do is reduce the quantity and show me what the new item values are. But I didn't ask anything about recreate the checkout panel. So what I can do in here is whatever I have done up until here, starting from line 83 to line 105, to behave like a function. So whenever that reduction happen or increase happen, I will recall it, so it will regenerate the page for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to surround this line of code starting from now 85. I'm going to say that you please behave like a function, and that function is going to be generate. Okay, it's going to generate something for me. Actually, it's going to generate a checkout panel, and it is going to start from line number 84 to the very end of the for block. Very good. Okay, save. Okay, so now I lost everything. The reason is I defined the generate, good, but I didn't call it yet. So what I need to do, I just need to take that generate in here. So right after, actually, because it's a function, no matter where you call the generate function, it will be presented, okay? But I like to put it afterwards. So I just put it in here, and here it's back. What I need to do in here is, once I click the reduce button, instead of console log the item, I want it to generate the content once again with the updated version. So when I save, I don't need to see anything in the console now. If I click now, see, it's reducing, but it's not making sense. I mean, how come an item can be less than 1 in the checkout? Even 0 is not accepted, because 0 means I don't want it, and we have a remove button there. So I need to put in here a restriction. That restriction should say that please don't go less than 1. If it is less than 1, just don't function. So this is the beauty of using object-oriented programming. You are structurally separating the pieces. So what I have in here is this piece, but I can say it's not exactly, but something like the view. I mean, the presentation level. Do you remember I mentioned earlier model view controller? So it's something like that, but not exact, but something like that. So here is the view. So the presentation level. This is the control level. So I'm controlling the content. And here is actually, I can say that this is the data, but we can just say that all this as the model part. So what I can say in here, I want to make a restriction for the reduce. I can say that, please check first of all, the value of quantity. Is it greater than 1? Okay, I'm asking that. Is it greater than 1? If so, reduce it by 1. Otherwise, let's hold as 1. So I just put the restriction in here, right? It's not going to be less than 1 anymore. So when I save it, let's put an action. I'm just going to click this minus sign. It's not reducing. Let's try this plus. So we will just play up and down in here. What I'm going to do, like I did in here, I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to, what was the name I gave? Increase. Okay, I just define an increase function now, and that increase function is taking the index, and what was the method I defined in here. Let's see, increase. That's good. So let's save and let's try the page for one more time. Oops, sorry. Okay, so when I hit the plus, it's increasing. So good. When I hit minus, it's decreasing until 1, but not less than 1. And because these are independent items, independent objects, the change what I have done in here is not impacting other siblings. Okay. So far, I put one method in here in action. Do you guys have any question up until this point? Okay, it's silence. Let me just push this code because it's a kind of just put this one first in here. Okay, so you guys should have the codes. I'm going to take the command points. Okay, so let's continue. The remaining feature is, I just want to mention first of all this total count. Okay, so what I'm going to say is, while we are defining the class, we need to hold the core concept or core attributes, core properties. We shouldn't put in here the derivative or driven items. So the total product, product total can be calculated by multiplying the new price with the quantity. So therefore, in our class definition, we didn't have the total price. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to say that this total price is going to be, okay, the item dot quantity times item dot new price. Great. Let's put an action. Okay. So let me just try. So what I'm expecting is when I hit this plus button, the increase of quantity should also increase the product total. Let's see. Going well. What about this? That's great. It also reduced. Very well done. What about this? Okay, we have an issue. So this is a mathematical concept in programming. So those floating digits may cause some problems. So to remove those problems, we need to do a kind of trick in here. So what I can say in here is this. We can just say that whatever this number is, because I want to see 2 digits after the decimal point, I'm going to multiply it by 100, okay? Those 2 zeros are going to represent the decimal points after the 0. Oh, sorry, the decimal points count. Okay, I have 2 zeros in here, so that means that after the point, there are going to be 2 decimals. And whatever this number is, I'm going to ask the math class to round it. And after the math class rounds it, I'm going to trick the system for one more time. And I'm going to say that please divide it by 100. So after that multiplication by 100, it's going to be rounded, then divided by 100. So it's going to put those 2 decimal points. So let's see it in action. I just save it. And let's try now. I'm just going to increase the numbers. So it's good. It's always at most 2 digits at the end of the decimal point. So far, we have created the application. So good, but we have the missing of the remove function. So what I'm going to do in here, as I did in here, I'm just going to copy this. And inside the button of remove, I'm just going to paste. And I'm going to say that remove. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to define another function removing here. And this remove function is going to remove that item from the array. So as we know that we have splice method inside the array for the arrays. So I'm going to use it because I already know the index number. So what I'm going to do that, I'm going to say that inside the item list, the splice starting from the index and remove only one item. So when I just save it, let's see how it go. I'm going to remove this. That's good. I'm going to remove this. It's good. And hold on. So we have done the part for the first section. As you remember that based on the requirements, we had another section underneath, which was about the total price and the checkout summary. So now we are going to start working on that part. Okay. So where was that template? Here it is. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this guy. And as I did earlier, after the for loop is over, so I need to find where the for loop is over. Oops, sorry. Okay, this is the function of generate, and here's the starting of the for loop. For loop ends in here. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to say that product inner HTML is going to be okay. So let's push it. Okay, so as you see that right underneath, now I'm able to see the product, sorry, checkout summary. But that checkout summary is having some static numbers. I mean, based on these increase or decrease or removing of the item, it's not updating its value. So what I have in here is subtotal, the tax, the shipping cost, and the total price. So what I need to do in here is I can just add them all in here. But I can just do in a way when the loop is running, when the loop is cycling itself, it's going to calculate the subtotal and it's going to calculate the tax as well. The shipping is a fixed amount, so I'm not going to change anything about the shipping. And in the total price, I'm going to add that amount to the total price. So let's do that now. So here's our for loop. So before the for loop starts, I'm going to define those variables. So the variable one is subtotal. Okay, subtotal is eventually 0, and then the text. Oops, let text is going to be 0 in the beginning too. The shipping cost is a fixed amount. I'm not going to put the shipping in here. And the let total. That total is going to be 0 as well. So what I'm going to do in here is when the loop cycles, we already calculated the unit price product total in here. So what I'm going to do in here is that I'm just going to take this one. I'm going to use it in the top of the loop in here. I'm going to say, okay, here's good. So let's PRD total is going to be this one. And I'm going to use this PRD total in here. Okay. So now I know what the product total is. What I can do is I can put that amount on addition to subtotal. So this is the product total. And I'm just thinking how to manipulate the text. It's better if I make it after the loop is over. So I'm just going to put the subtotal in here in this way. Okay, the text. That would be not used for now. Let us try either that subtotal is working fine or not. So let's go step by step. I'm just going to say in here the subtotal. Let's save it. So here's the issue. We started to see that huge number in here again. We will solve it, but I want to see, first of all, if I increase these items, will it impact the subtotal calculation? So I'm going to hit the plus. It is changing. That's good. It's changing and it's changing. But the problem is those points, those are disturbing. So what I'm going to do in here is the same thing what I did earlier. Okay. Okay, we can do it in here, no problem. Subtotal. Okay, why not? Okay, I think we can make one more function. Let's put our programming skills in action. Okay, decimal generator. Okay, this decimal generator is going to take a number inside. Okay, input number, and it's going to take the decimal count as well. Okay, let's say decimal count. Actually, I didn't think about this up until now. In my previous solutions, when I was solving this problem myself, I didn't come up with this idea, but let's try to make it in here. So what I'm going to do in here is this. Decimal count is going to create in here how many zeros, how many digits are going to be after the decimal point. Okay, so as you remember in our previous approach, where was that? Okay, let me take this one because we are going to need it. It's like a coding challenge question. So these zeros after the 1 is about how many digits are going to be after decimal point. So what I'm going to do in here, let's DSL CNT decimal count. Okay, it's going to be 10, and based on the decimal count, I'm going to run a loop. Okay, for I. Okay, let I is equals to 0, while I is equals less than the decimal count, I plus plus. And what it does is it's going to multiply the decimal count by 10. Whatever its value, it's going to multiply it by 10. And after it counted itself, by 10 that much time, I'm going to use this method, whatever we have. My internet again doesn't have an issue. I hope it will not be breaking up again.
You put
guys
one
able to
plus
hear?
plus, by the way.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Nice catch. I made it twice the same mistake in one night. I'm getting old. So input number. I'm going to take this input number in here and the decimal count in here and the decimal count in here. Whatever we have in here, I'm going to return it now. Hooray, we had a good function. I believe it works, but never be sure until it makes its first mistake. Let's see. I just save it. Good. So we have a decimal generator. I wish I gave a shorter name in here, but whatever. Okay, once. Okay, I'm going to use it in action. Where was that? Okay, here it is. So what I'm going to do in here is this. I'm going to say that use the decimal generator, create us 2 decimal points. I didn't escape because the question was difficult. It was my internet issue. I'm back. Let me just share the screen and continue coding. Are you guys able to see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm trying to do, I'm just going to debug the case if it's running well or not. Okay. So let's see. Okay, that's good. It called triple times, and that's what I expected was. Okay, I'm just going to see because it was used to change only here. We didn't use it for the other sections yet. Okay, that's working awesome. That's great. We have a new function. So that's why I like programming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that function now anywhere, whenever I see that's a decimal point problem. Okay, so here I have a decimal point problem. We have our own freshly built function. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that in action in here. I'm just going to say that use the subtotal in here and take only 2 decimal points. Okay, I remove 1 place. Let's put it in action. Hooray, it's removed. So let's go. So good. So let's put in action the same function and the rest of the calculations as well. So the subtotal is about whatever we created in here. Oh, sorry. The text is whatever is created in here times 0.18. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here is this. I'm just going to take this guy and I'm going to put it in here. Whatever the subtotal value is, use it, but multiply it by 0.18. Okay, that is 18%. Okay, again, I'm going to have 2 decimal points in here. I'm just going to save it. Let's see. Okay, is this a valid result? Because 146.94. Okay, let's try to make it in here. Oops. What was the value? 146.96. 146.96 times 0.18. Okay, 2645. 2645. That's good. But what I see in here is we have 3 decimals. Why we have 3 decimals in here? That shouldn't be 3 decimals. That should be 2 decimals in here. Okay, so we will just check it later on, but that's disturbing me. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to say CLG. Oops. 70. Okay. Oh, maybe because we are receiving one more decimal point from here. That might be the case. Okay. Let's see, just a second. I'm going to see what this one is. That one is DSL CNT. Let's save. Inspect. So why we have to? No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be 3,000. It should be 100. So something's wrong in here. So let's see what is wrong in here. Okay. That is. Okay, now that's 1,000. I'm just checking. In any case, we will have 3 decimal points, but no, we don't have 3 decimal points. Okay, that's good. So, do you guys have any problem, any question up until this point? Because we have done almost all the steps. In the coming class, we are going to cover some of the missing functionalities in here. Actually, there's almost nothing left, but I'm going to add some new features to our present challenge to practice some more programming skills. Do you have any questions so far?
Can you share the code again, please?
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
I'm going to share, yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to share the code in both of the environments, the GitHub as well as the Slack chat. Okay. Almost over. And of the session 2. Okay, this is, okay, it should be at the GitHub now. I'm going to share with you guys the.
To be honest, this way is much more easier. I was using the other method, like, you know, target parent elements, children, but this, yeah, object oriented is easier. Yeah.
I'm glad. My aim was that I would like to offer you different tastes, different cuisines, whatever you like most, you can go that way. So I just shared with you the JavaScript file, and now the HTML is coming. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, then. So let's give a break and let's be back at 9. I'm sorry, guys. I was also enjoying with the music. Thank you very much, Maya, for the selection. I hope you will not be disappointed. So are you guys back? Who is here? Just raise hand, send an emoji, do something. I don't want to feel that I am alone here. Okay, thank you, Huria. So let's continue. Where were we? We have completed this, the functionality so far, like almost everything, except the total part. So let's go over what we have done so far. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to increase and decrease some numbers of the quantity of the items. I would like to see some product total changes, as well as the subtotal and the text values are going to change too. And total is not going to change so far. It's going to change after a while. So I'm just going to see. Yeah, it's taking an action. That's great. And yeah, it's working fine. It's working fine. So what we're about to do now is just to make the total counter to change as well. By the way, I just found the issue why we have that 1,000 in here instead of having hundreds, because our initial state, we are starting from 10 already. Okay, so we are already starting with 1 decimal point. So if we put 2 more decimal points, so therefore it's becoming 1,000, which represents 3 decimal points. So either you can just change this 10 to 1, or you can just start counting from 1. Both of them are valid approaches. So I don't need this console.log anymore. Let me just continue about the total count. Where's the total? Here it is. So what the total should calculate? Total should calculate the addition of 3 values: the shipping cost, the tax, and the subtotal. Okay. So how can we make it done? The thing in here is, I'm first of all going to show you a solution, but that solution is not going to be the proper one, because we need to try to make the call of the function or use of the variables as low as we can. That is called as code optimization. Okay, or it is about the efficiency of your code. So first of all, I'm going to put in here a kind of relation or equation which will provide us a number, but it's not going to be a proper approach. I'm going to show you what can be a proper approach after a short while. So what I'm going to do in here is this. I can just say that, because it's going to be rounding again in here. First of all, I'm going to write in here the subtotal. Okay, and I'm going to take its text value, and then I'm going to have also its shipping cost, which is 1500, and then I'm going to run this function for one more time to create us the total value. Let's save and try. Okay, so I guess now our application is mature enough to make the calculation done. I'm just going to try it now. Okay, awesome. It's changing all the values. I mean the product total, subtotals, tax, and the total values. And if I just remove any item in here, that's impacting the calculation. So I'm just going to remove this one too. So our application is ready to be released. So the thing in here is, if I remove this one too, it's showing us a total value of $15 because the shipping cost is there as 15. You can either, I mean, this is more about not a programmer's call. In your real life situations, in some cases, you will be requested to create a solution. But while you are creating a solution, there might be unforeseen situations may arise like this. So in such cases, then business or team leads should take the decision taking and need to say that in such case, the total should be 0, or in such case, 15 can remain. So it's not your call to make a change in here. You have been assigned to solve a problem, and here we are, we solved it. So let me just try to show you something. So what we have in here is, in every single call, we do have this decimal generator is being called once, twice, okay, 4 times. So you can make your code better if you can reduce these calls to get less, okay? So in that case, what I can suggest you to do is, for example, in here, I use the subtotal value because it had been assigned to somewhere. But here, this this text generated value was never being saved into a variable, okay? What I can say is, you can either save this one in a variable and use it in here. So that will make the situation get easier. So if you want to do that way, what I can suggest you to do that is this. Before we use them, we can just define those variables. So this is going to be a let. This was subtotal. Okay. Sorry. Was that subtotal? Yeah. We have 2 subtotals. Just the same. No. Okay. This is product total. Okay. Okay. So what I can say in here is, okay. Subtotal was already defined. So that is a good side of the new JavaScript feature. If I was going to define in here subtotal, I was going to take a warning message. Or at least I was expecting to see a warning message. Let's try that now. Will I receive a warning message or not? See, I get the warning message. And if you see that in the inspector, in the console, I have been warned that the subtotal has been defined earlier. Okay, so because of the giving break, I lost track of which variables I have assigned and what were they doing. So therefore, I was about to assign the subtotal variable, but even if I tried, I will fail because of this a new feature of the JavaScript. Okay, so I'm saying new feature because it wasn't here before 2015. So I'm going to say that the subtotal is not a regular subtotal, but it is a decimal pointed subtotal. And I'm going to have in here, let me just see what else I define it here. Okay, text subtotal. Okay. I'm going to say that text is going to be this one. And the total is going to be okay. So what I can say is, because the subtotal had already reduced by the level of 2 digits, and the text has also reduced by the 2 digits. So for the total, I don't need to make this call. This is what I told earlier as code optimization. After you solve your challenge, you can revisit your approach and you can reduce the unnecessary steps. Okay, that this is a kind of code optimization. So this call is actually a non-necessary call. So what I can say instead of this, I can just say that this is only a subtotal plus text, nothing else. Okay. And because I have defined these variables properly, I can just use them in action. So I can just put them in here. So by this way, I am not making one extra function call. That function doing almost nothing. It's just putting some decimal points for us. It's rounding the number. But in real life situations, sometimes those functions are required to handle really heavy weightlifting. So in that case, you better be careful to reduce the unnecessary function calls or sometimes database calls. Okay, so I'm just going to run the application for one more time. Now let's try if everything is working fine. That's good. Okay, something is wrong about the total. So that means that maybe we need to make that call again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I wish I didn't need that, but seems like JavaScript is forcing me to do that call. Okay, so now I'm sure that I will not get an issue for again. Okay, seems good. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far? Let me just share this code with you guys as well. Okay, this challenge. Okay. Let me just move that. Defines. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far?
Instead of decimal generator function, can we use toFixed? Does it work, or?
Can you just share your idea in the Slack chat and let me just see? toFixed is how to use that one?
For example, can you go up, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like subtotal.
Okay.
Subtotal dot toFixed too.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try. That was going to impact on the subtotal here. Okay, so what I see in here, this total is throwing not a number, maybe because of this one.
Yeah.
Let me just see what it does. Let's see. So number toFix, fraction, digits, number. Okay, so it's converting the given number as a string. So if you look at it here after the column, so the string means that, if I'm not wrong, it's returning. Yeah, it's here. Returns a string representing a number in a fixed point notation. So I believe it works, but in that case, you cannot treat that value as a number in this mathematical operation. So in that case, if we go that way, so what we need to do is, okay, let's just do something like, just a second. Let me just undo this because I want to comment these ones. And just copy them here. So if we go that way, so we need to say that, okay, in here. So in that case, maybe we don't need them at all. So we can just say, because we are not going to use it in here.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah.
toFix 2. The text is going to be subtotal times 0.18. Okay, and it's better to put a space between the operators. Okay, that toFix 2. Okay, and also in here. So what we need to do is, like we did earlier, we can just say subtotal plus 15.00 plus this value. And whatever the result is, convert it into to string, sorry, to fixed by 2. I believe this worked. Let's try. It's working fine.
Yeah, it works. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. As I told you at the very beginning, this is a solution, not the solution. So you can just solve this, not this, but any programming challenges. You know, fashion what you get used to, what you are more comfortable about. Okay, so until and unless you have been restricted to use or not to use some methods, some functions, that's your playground. Just use it as you like to use it.
Yeah, because it's hard to implement a function. That's why I.
Yeah. Actually, I was not even thinking about it. So when I was coding, I saw that I'm repeating that mathematical operations repeatedly. So then I just thought that, okay, what if we go and create a function? So that's how my thought process was when I was thinking about it. And it wasn't a kind of a scenario what I was following. It was just out of sudden, I just come up with that idea. But in one day, if you need to input a number and return a number with a decimal point, so there's a function like this, you can use it. Yeah, thank you very much about the suggestion. I like that.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, any other ideas, any other questions? If you don't, we can just add some function, some new features to our existing page. But if you don't have any questions, we will do that. Otherwise, we better go over your questions. Okay, sounds like you guys don't have any questions. So what if we have a situation that, as you see in here, okay, I'm going to hold it this way. Okay, so while you are watching the video, you can just have an idea about both of the approaches. So because if we use the decimal generator up anywhere, yeah, we used it here. So therefore, I'm not commenting out this one, but if you want to go either decimal generator or to fix, you are free to go either way. So what I'm going to do in here is the expected output of the page is the smaller number is supposed to be that's orange and bold and big, and the bigger number, because that is the number which was before discount, let's say, the smaller and overlapped. Okay. What if user made a mistake in here and entered them wrong? So what I mean is this. It is what if user entered them wrong? So now, okay. So now it seems like it was before cheaper, now it is expensive and you would like to buy it, sort of situation. So right now we have a very flexible template, very flexible, let's say, code block in our hand. We can make it in a way to avoid such wrong inputs. Do you guys have any idea how we can avoid such user-entered mistakes? How we can swap always the smaller number to appear in here and bigger number to appear in this overlapped area. In a suggestion, while we are thinking, let me just push this code. No idea? Let me
I have
just
no
show
idea,
you.
actually.
Okay, let me just show you that. So first of all, this is called in some situations you will be facing with this situation. Actually, most probably you will be facing with this situation really very often, because you are going to join a team, an existing team, and you should be adapting into their culture, into their coding pattern, and you need to understand their way of thinking, and so you can provide a solution. So the thing in here is, this is called reverse engineering. Okay, the reverse engineering means that you have a situation. Okay, you have a situation which is a mistake, or which is running not as expected, and you are requested to resolve it and fix it. So to resolving it, first of all, you need to find where the situation is coming from. So we know that it is because of here. So the first entered value the first entered value based on the constructor is the new price, but as mistake, the old price entered first. So what we can do in here is we can say that the new price is not just the new price. So we can just make a statement in here. We can just say that if new price is greater than the old price, that means that if new price is more, so in that case, please take the old price instead. Otherwise, take the new price. Okay? And we need to make the same questioning in here. If old price is smaller new price, in that case, take the price. Otherwise, you can take the old price. So this is a kind of if statement to check which one is bigger and smaller than accordingly. Okay, let's now. I'm just going to save it. Okay, see, because of this if and else if statement, this ternary operator, now I'm just checking the value of the new price against the old price, and I am always ensuring that the old price is going to be the old price value, and the new price is going to be always the new price value. Did you understand the approach what I followed in here? Okay. So in here, let's say that a couple of days, our business people came to us and asked us the zero. When it is zero, consider that the item. You understand it?
Oh, we can't hear you well.
Okay. Let me repeat that. So let me just 20 minutes. I'm just trying to put some more programming fun. Okay, that's my internet connection. I should solve this whenever I'm having this Zoom session, not only about here Clarusway, but in other situation. Recently, I started to be kicked off from the Zoom after 45 to 50 minutes. and I'm back online. So you guys are able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we have roughly 20 minutes. So I was just creating another situation, another scenario. I was just saying that if the for the present case, we were not able to make it less than 1. It was always more than 1, even not 0. So we recently got, let's say that a new business logic, and they said that if it is 1, let user make it 1 more reduce, and that reduction, let it behave like a removing of the object. You got it? So instead of hitting remove button in here, I am able to click this minus button, and because it's going to be 0, it's going to remove this vintage bag in the, let's say, in our list. Do you guys have any idea how can we make it done?
So inside the Redis, we already have a function. I mean, a remove function, so we can put it inside that. Yeah.
Okay. So we have the remove function. Now let's see how it goes. Just a second. I'm just minimizing the functions. Okay, I just want to show you the structure. Okay. So I don't need constructor here. The reduce function is in this class. So you say that if it is 0, so let's call the remove function, and let it be remove this one. So the remove function, actually your idea is good, but let us try to see what we need to make it done. So this reduce function needs an index. Sorry, this remove function needs an index. When we are in here, how can we know our index representation in here? Did you got my question? For example, let's see. Okay, what I'm going to do in here is this. Okay, this is the reduce. Okay, sorry, not this one. This one is the reduce. So what I'm going to do, we have already successfully, okay, let me just let me just put this enhancement in here. I am not going to push the other codes, okay, because we have already completed our success. Sorry, our challenge. Whatever we are going to do after this, I'm not going to push them into our branch because there are going to be some additional practices. Okay, so you said that we can use this remove. Okay. So in here, instead of making it 1, forcefully 1, we can say that we can use the remove function. So what to pass inside this remove function when it's being called? Because in our reduce function, what we have in here is actually another function in, okay, so let me just go step by step in here. So let me just do something. Whenever we are calling a function in here, like generate, we are just calling it right away, am I right? Generate, and we are opening and closing the parentheses, and we are calling it. So do we have anything in before the generate in here? We don't have, because the generate was being hosted, or the checkout.javascript file itself is hosting it. But the reduce function, what we have in here, is not a standalone function. It is being hosted by this object. So this reduce function, what we have in here, is not able to be called right away. It is running based on the object. It's running based on that that item which was created in here. So in your solution, can you please guide me? Where do you want me to write what?
So we are going to type remove, right? But we need to reach item list first.
Yes.
Yeah. I have no idea, actually. I'm still thinking. Yeah.
that thinking is good. Thinking is good. It's okay. Now, I also didn't think about this, because I was thinking that while we are solving this problem, maybe we will reach the end of the class. But here we are, and we still don't have that. We still have that time. So what I'm going to say is, if I was going to face with this problem, what I will do is, I will just change this logic. Okay. I will just change this logic, and I will just say that, okay, the business asked me that to reduce it anyway. So if it is reduced it anyway, when it is reduced, it is going to be, the quantity is going to be 0. So whenever I'm running this function, whenever I'm running this loop, what I can say is, if that item, what I created in here, has quantity equals to 0. Okay, I'm just checking the if statement. If this item has quantity 0, in that case, please, okay, where was that, Okay. Please remove this item, okay, and do nothing else. Okay, I'm just thinking about that. Let's see how will this behave. I know that there's going to be a problem in here. We will solve it step by step. So do you understand what I have done so far in here? So I first of all allowed that amount to be less than 1, which is 0 in our case. And I'm just going to check that, okay, if item quantity is less than 1, in that case, I'm going to ask it to be removed. And when it is being removed, the remove function itself is going to remove that item from the list and recall the generate function. Because it's going to recall the generate function, whatever is being created in here earlier is going to be removed. But I am still expecting an issue about this. It's better to see in action. Let's see how will it go. So I'm going to click this remove, and let's see what will happen. I'm just going to open the inspector, the console. If we are lucky enough, we will see no problem and it will be resolved. But it's live, it never happened that way. Let's see. It happened this time. So, okay, this is what I was expecting. See, this is what I was expecting. So what happened in here, when I just removed this, it seems like it has been removed in here. Good, but we have a tail in here. So the problem in here is, do you remember that this is a generate function? And within the generate function, we are calling the generate function for one more time. So it is like the stack. So once this inner stack is over, then outer stack runs back again. So that's the situation. What we need to do is we need to avoid the second stack to be running. To avoid second stack to be running, we have something called stopper. What was the stopper in the loops? What do we use to stop a loop? Great, great. So let's see, if you are lucky now, we will see that problems resolved, but if you are lucky. I hit this one. Okay, but now we have another tail in here. So that tail is coming because that one was from, okay, because we were controlling the loop, but the subtotal summary was coming. If you double click on here, it will just draw a purple line. If you follow the purple line, you will see that it's in here. So as you see that this summary was being created out of the loop. So it's not being controlled by the by the break. So what we can do is we can do something else. What I can do is before I break it, I just want to be sure that there is nothing left inside it. I cleaned the product panel. Let's see, will this solve the problem? Okay, it's solved, but it's solved very hardly. So it's not the proper way. So let's remove that. So let's think about this. This solution, this one is coming. Okay, we are at the inner HTML. So what I can say that, so I can put a condition in here. This is programming. I call this programming, not this programming. I call the program as like playing the Lego blocks. Okay, if you know the playing Lego blocks, they are all having the same shapes, but when you attach them in a different pattern, you are just building some other shapes. So let's try to put a logic to avoid this to be called, okay, in here. So as we see in here, we see that these zeros are coming, okay. Those zeros are coming if the subtotal is 0. So what I can say in here is, okay, just a second. Let's try something. I'm just going to see a situation. Oops. So subtotal, okay, subtotal. Let me just take the subtotal. So let's inspect. Okay, right now it's this value. When I just remove it, okay, it first of all calls this one, then it calls the 0. Okay, what I'm going to do in here is, this is something called as flag. Okay, so it is going to be used let summary is true. I am just thinking to solve by using this flag. If you if you start to confuse, don't worry. I am just trying to resolve it, but I don't know either. Just oops. Okay, so this is going to be the flag. Was that flag I called? Or no, summary. Okay, so summary is always true. Because it's always true, it's going to be printed in here. What I'm going to do in here is, whenever the summary prints itself, I'm just going to call within the summary. Please make it false. Let's see, will this work or not? I'm not so sure, but I'm just trying this way. Still it does, because it's in the step. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Here. Great, we did it. Let me just show you what I have done. Okay, let me just run for one more time. So, are you guys still with me? First of all, I need to take your attention in here. What I have done in here is something what I didn't plan earlier. So because we had an extra time, I just wanted to give you this challenge. So what we have done so far. The item quantity was allowed to be less than 1. So when it is less than 1, which is 0 in our case, we told that do not proceed the entire for loop, but change the summary state to be false. Summary state has been defined as false before I call the remove function. So when the remove function called, when the remove function called, where is the remove function? Okay, when the remove function called, it first of all removed that item from the list. Then it called the generate for one more time. Okay, so when the generate called for one more time, the second cycle of the generate is now called below the first one. So while the second loop is being cycling itself, because it has been removed in here by the remove function, it never falls in here, and the summary will never turns into false. Summary will always remain as true. Because summary is always returned as true, we are going to print this one. Okay, so the one with the values. But after the summary is being completed, we remember where we were in the first cycle. In the first cycle, we called the summary as false, and then we called the remove. We were at here, precisely here. And then the break triggers. When the break triggers, loop goes up in here. After the loop goes up in here, it will just comes down in here and check the if summary. What was the value of summary? We changed it from true to false. So because we changed it from true to false in this first cycle, it will not write the second summary statement. This was a little bit of not a linear programming, in the linear programming, when you start writing the code blocks goes up to down, one, then the other, then the other, and the other. But this is something called a stack. So in the stack, it is like the recursive algorithms, okay? It is like loop in a loop, or some sort of self-calling situations. So whenever the stacks are called as LIFO, last in, first out. Think about putting some email or some post mails on your desk. So when you put the one mail and another mail and another mail and another mail, when you start reading the mails, you start from the very last one, very top one. Okay, so last in, first out. So when the last item completed its cycle, we are able to see its summary details in here. But in the first, after the first cycle is over, in the second cycle call, I mean that after this break triggers, after here. So that time, the summary will not be printed, because before the break triggered, summary stated as false. It is a little bit cumbersome. It's a little bit calling one in, one out situation, but that is how it behaves. Okay, this one. So let's try to remove something in the middle, because when I was testing the top one only. Let me just try to remove the one in the middle. Then I just remove. That also works fine. This also works fine. That's great. So that was an enhancement. We were not expecting you to think about this situation, but it's a kind of a spice in programming. If you would like to carry your existing programming skills one step further, you can just think about this. Otherwise, it was not one of your assignments, one of your tasks to manage. So far, we are at 9:50, almost 9:49. We can conclude our session if you guys do not have any questions. It can be question about this recent enhancement, what we have come through, or anything what we have studied during these tonight's sessions.
If you put the summary false after remove I, does it work as well?
Let's think about it first, then put an action. Okay, so when the remove I is being called, it was calling the second cycle. The important point is we need to put it somewhere before the break. I'm expecting it to be running well. Let me just put an action. So let me just run the page, fingers are crossed, and I hit. Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so no matter what is the, yeah. Right.
Okay, so just the thing is, before the first cycle continued this process, we need to put that flag false. Okay, this is called actually the summary variable. What we have defined in here is called as flag, true false flag. These sort of flags are being defined in the programming or algorithms to make a decision takings. If during the flow you just turn it either true or false based on a situation, then the following if statements will obey based on that previous decision takings. But thank you very much. That was a good addition to the session. Any other questions? Any other sharings, concerns? Because this is an enhancement, I'm not going to push this code to the GitHub branch, but I'm going to share this with you guys in the Slack chat. So if you would like to look into that, at least you will have one sample in your hands. Are we all good? Any question? Okay, that's quite. I believe that was a fruitful session for you guys. Please feel free to reach me in any questions of yours. I will be available most of the time, but I may not be available between 9 to 5, 8 to 5. But after 5, if I see any of your messages, any of your questions, I will try to return you back as soon as I can. So,
Thank you, Gökhan.
You're welcome. I'm glad. Thank you very much. So that if you do not have any further questions, we can end our session now.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.